You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Got questions about your hound's health? Need the facts on Fido's fitness or food? You want to unleash your pup's potential? Well, you've come to the right place because it's time to win with dogs. Here, we learn how easy it is to naturally improve the lives of our furry friends. So sit, stay, and get ready to win with dogs. With me, Raquel Wynn.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to Win with Dogs on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Raquel Wynn. I'm so glad you've joined us today. I'm super, super excited about this topic. As you know, nutrition is a topic that I get heavily involved with my clients, and I think it's totally a precursor to health, eating properly. You are what you eat, in fact. And today on this show, we have with us Shauna Bryan, who's been a therapist in the behavioral health field for the past 14 years. She's also a certified lifestyle coach. And like me, she started on humans and branched out to animals. Her program includes education on healthy eating choices, reducing stress, exercise, and supplementation. And with these guidelines, her clients are able to keep their weight at in an optimal range and health problems to a minimum. And one of the things that she is heavily involved with is talking about is the glycemic index in foods. And the glycemic index is a way to rank carbohydrates according to their effect on the blood sugar levels. So we're going to get into this as soon as we break for commercial. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back after this short water break.
Hey, don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back to Win with Dogs right after this quick water break.
Greetings, human. What planet am I on?
Welcome to Pet Planet. Here's a copy of Pet Planet Magazine, Florida's most informative and fun pet resource magazine. It features heartwarming stories and informative articles from local and national pet experts.
Excellent.
Pet Planet Magazine offers Operation Planet Rescue, helping rescued pets find new homes. And it's available at 500 locations in South and Central Florida and 24/7 on the internet at petplanetmagazine.com. If you're out and about with your pet, you may be featured in paparazzi, candid pictures of you and your pet. For up-to-date pet-friendly events, activities, and pet-related services and products, Pet Planet Magazine is your final destination.
I shall take this magazine home with me.
Back to your home planet?
No, to my condo in Boca.
Pet Planet Magazine. Check them out at www.petplanetmagazine.com or 352-394-8578. It's out of this world.
Coast to coast and around the world, it's Oh Behave with Arden Moore. Find out why cats and dogs do the things they do and get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get great tail-wagging pet tips and have a fur-flying fun time. Oh Behave with America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore. Every week on demand. This is the place for a special paparazzi treat. Only on PetLifeRadio.com. Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Thanks for hanging around. We're back to Win with Dogs with me, Raquel Wynn, on Pet Life Radio.
We're back to Win with Dogs. Thank you so much for being with us. We're talking nutrition on today's show. And you are, in fact, what you eat, so are your dogs. So we want to make sure we're giving our pups the right nutrition and making sure they're getting all the proper nutrients for good health. Today, we're talking with Shauna Bryan. She is my special guest today, and I'm so excited. I met Shauna at a party at a friend's house. We became instant friends and started talking shop to the dismay of our other friends with us. We ignored them completely, and she was fascinating. I totally love what she has to say and what she's doing with her clients, so I'm so excited to have her with us. Shauna, welcome to Win with Dogs. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Raquel. I'm so excited about being on your show. I just went out and bought your book last week and have been reading it and just am so impressed with Stretch Your Dog Healthy that I'm just so excited about today.
Well, thanks. I'm glad for this. Thanks for the kudos to you, too. You know, one of the things that really fascinated me about you was that you started with humans in lifestyle coaching and nutritional coaching, just like I did start with humans in personal training and massage therapy and stretching. And as you told me, your clients started asking about their dogs when you'd work with them. And that's kind of something that I got into. I noticed that the same message applies to hound and human. So take me through a little bit of kind of what you do with your clients, human and hound. You go in and you discuss, you check out what they're eating and tell them what to eat, I assume.
I do. I actually just incorporate the same healthy lifestyle program that I have with humans, which is based on looking at what you're putting in your body. And so we start looking at what you're putting in your pet's body by looking at the ingredients in the food that you're buying, just switching over the foods to low glycemic ingredients such as fish and healthy vegetables and healthy fats, but staying away from corn ingredients, which are high glycemic, and staying away from animal byproducts. And then incorporating, that's a big one.
And incorporating what? I'm sorry.
Incorporating exercise, just like we do with the humans, into the pet's life with walking, playtime, and then stress reduction. That's huge. Believe it or not, your pets can be stressed. And so some of the exercises you had in your book with stretching are perfect for stress reduction for dogs.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. You know, talking about the glycemic index, for those of you who aren't familiar with what that is, each food can be rated on its effect on the blood glucose or blood sugar levels. Is that right? Can you tell me a little bit about what it is?
Sure.
What is the glycemic index?
Sure. Actually, it is the impact of the blood sugar on your body. Each food or drink that you put in your body registers on the glycemic index. And what happens is when your blood sugar is spiked too quickly, which would be from high glycemic foods, your body is actually put into a fat storage mode. And unfortunately, a lot of the foods that we're buying, even as humans out there, and especially pet foods, are all high glycemic. So it's important that you pay attention to the ingredients. And there's books that you can buy on the glycemic index. You can look up glycemic index on the internet and find out which ingredients or which foods are high glycemic and which foods are low. And then once you know which foods are low glycemic, you know that those foods are not only healthy, but you know that they're actually burning fat, which is what we're genetically designed to do.
That's so true. And, you know, sugar, I'm going to give a little lesson for the listeners. Sugar is one mode of cellular energy, one way we get energy from the body. And carbohydrates are the sugars of the body, and we get energy from them. And what Shauna is talking about is the higher the glycemic index, the higher the sugar content is of that food. So while it's immediately available. So once you put in a high amount of sugar, your body wants to get that out. It wants to burn it off. And the higher that glycemic, the simpler that sugar is. So it goes right into the bloodstream, and your body kind of freaks out and is like, get this out of here. Versus a fat. Fat's another way to get energy for the body, but it takes a little bit longer. It's more complex to break it down, which is actually better for the body. It gives you more time to kind of process it and get it out of your system. And so the same is true with pets. Is that right, Shauna, that they are suffering from diabetes and all that? They can get that just like a human can, can't they, from insulin? Too much insulin spike?
Absolutely. We're seeing a lot of obesity out there with animals. And then probably the second thing I'm seeing is diabetes, and then arthritis and allergies, skin problems. And, you know, I really feel that a lot of these things could be avoided with the proper nutrition.
Yeah, and diabetes, my show producer, Mark, just lost his beautiful poodle, Bailey. We were so sad. Yeah, and Bailey had diabetes for many years, so I know that this is something that pet owners now are having to face. So we're kind of going to get off the track just a little bit that we brought up diabetes. Do you know what some of the signs are to just, make sure your pet doesn't have it? What should we be looking for? Is there a test you can take at the vet? Is there some symptoms?
Sure. If your pet is feeling energyless, lethargic, not wanting to play as much as normal, maybe, and you feel like something's just not quite right, you can actually take your dog to the vet and just talk with your vet about it and get an overall just physical examination. And there are tests that they can do for diabetes and detect that. And early detection is definitely the key.
Yeah, I agree with that. And sometimes I think I've heard, increased drinking and eating habits, just watching. That's one of the things in my book. I talk about the canine baseline, just getting an overview of what your dog's norms are. And that pertains to how much water they're drinking, eating, etc. So as Shauna's saying, you see any signs that things are not right, a simple blood test, why wonder when you can know, So, okay, we're talking about nutrition and the impact it plays, because I know that we are really in a health crisis with humans and pets. 1 in 5 dogs have arthritis. 1 in 4 dogs are obese. And I know that this is the food that we feed them, and people are buying food just assuming that the dog foods are what they say they are, healthy, nutritious. But in fact, we have to be quite wary of foods, sometimes even the foods in our veterinary's office. I know that, vets do have such a wide berth of things they need to cover. Nutrition, unfortunately, has not necessarily been a focal point for a lot of them. So I would love, Shauna, for you to just tell people out there with foods. Let's start with foods that they buy. If you're going to buy foods, what steps should we take to make sure we're getting the right foods?
Okay. Ingredient-wise, just making sure that the food has contains protein, such as good fish protein. Salmon is a really good ingredient. Making sure that the carbs are good carbs, and when I say good carbs, low glycemic carbs. Vitamins and minerals are very important for your pet. I think another thing that people can do is buy from your local pet food store or your local pet store instead of just buying from the grocery store or Walmart. Go and ask someone, do some research there at the store. See who in the store is an expert on pet nutrition, and tell them exactly, describe your pet and what's going on with your pet, and just kind of what you're looking for, a healthy food, and you can tell them what they're currently eating, and then they can hopefully help you find the right food.
That's a good point. We have a great little store here in Nashville called Dizzy's Dog Wash, and Lynn over there knows her stuff about nutrition and supplementation big time. Do you my dogs, let's just go back. My dogs for breakfast had some brown rice. They had an egg, half of an egg, and they had some plain yogurt and a little bit of kibble. And would you say that I did good today? Was that a good breakfast?
I think you did great today. I would kind of wish I was your dog. I think they ate better than I did this morning.
I know.
One thing to pay attention to on yogurt, I know a lot of people do feed their dogs yogurt, is looking at the amount of sugar grams in the yogurt. And that's something that a lot of people even buy yogurt and they think that they're eating something really good for them, and there's so much added sugar and chemicals typically in yogurt. So you want to get the most plain yogurt that you can get with the lowest amount of sugar, preferably like 10 or less grams of sugar in a yogurt would be very, very good.
Yeah, and plain yogurt really has hardly any sugar, so that's a good bet.
Right.
That's a good bet, I think.
But always look at the label. Always look at the label.
Yeah. Do you do you recommend cooking for your dogs and feeding them food? I guess if the human's eating right, then the dogs can eat it.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. And actually it's even easier than going out and buying pet food and taking the chance of not really knowing what you're getting. I mean, my dogs their treats are carrots and celery and strawberries, and they pretty much eat what I eat. I do cook them a little bit more meat than I actually eat. I only eat really fish and they eat some other meats. But I think that's great that people, take the time and invest in their pets. An easy way, to cook for your pets is in a crock pot. I have some clients who will just, throw some healthy things in a crock pot for the day, and then they have their dog's food for the day.
Yeah, that's what I do is I will cook, some brown rice, a few cups, and keep it in the fridge. That way I just kind of have to spoon it out. I'm not cooking every day. Oatmeal is another favorite for my pups. They love
oatmeal is great. It's low glycemic. And the more natural the oatmeal, the better. Steel cut oats are always a good choice. My dog
the Irish steel cuts.
Ooh, yummy. That sounds good.
That's the thing is also, looking for organic whenever possible, natural foods whenever possible. I advocate that for my humans as well. But I really think with our health crisis that we're facing, it's going to come down to each parent of each pup doing their part to keep their guys healthy. And because every little being is different. Every body needs a little bit different things. What kind of program do you advocate? Let's say I walked into your office and my dog was 5 pounds overweight. And he's a 25-pound dog. He needs to be 20 pounds. So that's pretty hefty. That's pretty hefty. How would you receive me and how would you lead me into a better healthful lifestyle with my pup? What would you say?
I would do an overall evaluation on your pet just to ask you some questions about energy level and what you're currently feeding your pet, and then exercise, if there's any exercise going on, and then stress in the pet's life possibly, and behavior issues. And then after the evaluation, I would make some suggestions with the food, of course, first, starting with the food, and getting you on a low glycemic eating plan for the animal. And then we would look at exercise, and we would incorporate, did you know, even a 20-minute walk for a pet 3 times a week can increase a pet's life by years.
Gosh, that's amazing.
The moving, is so important. And I would look at also, is the dog taking any supplementation at all? And then
is
if
supplementation
not,
good?
The supplements that I use and just love and really advocate for are OPCs for increased energy, disease prevention, and then glucosamine for healthy joints, and then pet vitamins. And I always like getting the vitamins in a powder form so that you're not having to give your dog pills, or a liquid form is good too. But then also with your pets, making sure that you're feeding them appropriate amounts is so important.
Oh my gosh, yes.
On dog food, it has on the bag, it has appropriate serving sizes, but it seems no one really pays attention to that. I think most people are in such a hurry, they just throw out dog food, a whole pan of it, and just expect the dog to know when to stop eating. And so what I do is have people serve their dog actually a serving size of food, and then feed them more times per day. What I find is most people feed their dogs once a day, and when you feed them smaller portions at different intervals in the day, like let's say 3 to 4 times a day, you're feeding your dog something, so their body is able to stay in that fat burning mode versus eating a whole pan of food and then getting lethargic, laying around, being lazy all day, and not eating again until in the morning.
And that, plus they're so tiny. Think of eating, if you ate one time, their body's metabolizing it. They're mad. They never get food. They're grumpy. Think of how grumpy, I think of how grumpy I get when I don't eat. Your poor pups. You've touched on 2 super, super, super important things, and that is portion control and increased feeding frequency. And that is probably top of the list for me, both of those things for maintaining weight. And unfortunately, we have to take a short break, but when we come back, I want to talk more about portion control, exercise, how much exercise, etc. So Shauna, hang tight. Listeners, hang tight. We need to take a break for a word from our sponsors, and we will be right back to Win with Dogs.
Hey, don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back to Win with Dogs right after this quick water break.
Pet Life Radio presents Paranormal Pets, where you can always expect the unexpected. Each week we'll discuss all aspects of weird or spiritual animal encounters, ghosts, totems, psychic animals, animal souls, animal angels, and animals in religion, with a little cryptozoology thrown in. Step into the supernatural world of pets with your Paranormal Pets ghostly host, Dusty Rainbolt, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Thanks for hanging around. We're back to Win with Dogs with me, Raquel Wynn, on Pet Life Radio.
Yay, thank you for hanging with us. We are back to Win with Dogs with Shauna today, our guest, and I'm your host, Raquel. Right before the break, we were just totally flipping out about portion control and feeding frequency. And, Shauna, you said, feed your dogs more than once a day, more than twice a day even. And I totally agree with that. Your metabolism's like a little fireplace. And if the food is the wood and your metabolism's the fireplace, what happens when we throw a big chunk of wood on a fire? It stifles it versus stoking it all day with little bits of wood. That's kind of how I perceive the body's metabolism. So important to, if your dog is trying to lose weight, just like you do not want to stop, cut them back and really restrict their calories. Don't you think it's more important versus restricting the calories, maybe adding more like brown rice or calorie light versus calorie dense food? I mean, my dogs eat the same portions sometimes if they're getting heavier, but I just change what's in it.
I think that's such a great point. When you look at your metabolism and look at your body with fat storage mode, when you're feeding your dog or yourself that one meal a day, what happens is once your body metabolizes that amount of food, your body doesn't know that there's any more food available. So what happens is your body goes into that fat storage mode, and it's going to stay in that fat storage mode until you're fed again. So if you're not fed again until the next day, not only will you be grumpy and energyless, but your body will store fat until the next day. And let's say you exercise your dog, you take your dog to the park. Even while this dog is exercising, it's still going to be in fat storage mode. So what happens is the body ends up burning off lean muscle versus body fat. And when you reduce calories, that's exactly what happens as well. Because when you're not feeding your body or your dog enough calories, your body thinks that there's not enough food available. Mm-hmm. So it goes into that fat storage mode, and that's why people and pets seem to get fatter and fatter, even though they may not even gain any more weight, but they look bigger. They get the Michelin tire effect.
We don't want any portly pooches. It's like I had a client once who had a little beagle, and they used to joke that their puppy looked like an ottoman, which was really funny but quite sad because he was a square, It's like, this is not good.
So true.
Yeah, and I'm like, you have to quit feeding your dog that much, junk. Feed him some good food. He's not getting any nutrients. Gosh. But anyway, the other thing that you're talking about with fat storage, I think, is that people need to realize is your body wants to burn fat, but if there's too much sugar in the system, the insulin spikes, so it has to get rid of that sugar. So it preferentially burns the high glycemic versus the fat. And so if you keep putting in all this high sugar content, your body is trying to regulate that and get that out of there. Meanwhile, the fat is just sitting there accumulating.
And over time, that is one of the key components that's really, causing diabetes with people
totally.
and with dogs is raising, your blood sugar too quickly over a period of years can certainly put you at risk for diabetes, for type 2.
So exercise, you said a 3-day-a-week, 20-minute walk increases your pet's longevity by years. And that's really astounding because I think we humans feel like more effort is where it's at. And I constantly have to tell my human clients, exercise actually can increase inflammation in the body, which is not what we want. So we want consistency over intensity. And that consistency of movement is how the body actually heals. So pertaining to exercise, do you advocate, just kind of taking it easy, walking, just moving? You're not necessarily thinking that they have to go jogging 3 miles every time they leave the house or every day. Do you find that just a light, consistent exercise does pay off for your canine clients?
Yes, well, absolutely. With a human, it takes your body about 10 to 15 minutes to actually get into the fat-burning mode once you start exercising. So for a human, I typically recommend at least 45 minutes of a walk or exercise, burn fat. But for a pet, 20 minutes is huge because they're little, bodies, well, depending on how big they are, but it takes less time to get into that fat burning mode. So 20, 30 minutes, just a few times a week would be a wonderful start for your pet. You also want to look at where the pet is right, currently with exercise. You don't want to overwhelm the pet. I had one client who took her pet to Percy Warner and did the 2-mile walk, and this was a lab that was about 20 pounds overweight.
Oh, no.
And I met them at the end of the walk, and I thought the dog was going to die because she started out with no exercise for years and then took the dog, for this 2-mile walk.
No weekend warrior. We want to ease into the exercise program.
Yes.
I bet that dog was achy the next day, too. Yeah.
Yes,
gosh.
I bet. But I just got a report back on Sadie last week, and now apparently she's running all over the yard, and she's lost 18 pounds, and she just, she feels like a puppy again. So. And
the owner didn't have to buy some diet, calorie-restricted food, dry kibble, which I'm assuming she didn't do that. And, it probably wasn't as hard as she thought to get her dog to get healthy. I find it's easier than we think. If we just are consistent and have the right information, we can make the right choices for sure. What kind of program do you think, let's say for every pet, would we say eating increased meals, low glycemic, moderate exercise, supplementation? That applies to pretty much every animal out there, don't you think?
It does. And I think looking at your pet's size and breed of dog and paying attention to, this is a normal size, and then looking at what is obese, because I think we've gotten away from even being able to recognize that our own pets are obese. I have a little miniature dachshund, and I really have to watch him because he's really a food addict. He wants to steal my other animals' foods, and because I love him so much, sometimes he'll gain a little bit of weight and I don't notice, but then, I pay attention to, other comments and what people say, and I kind of look at his weight, his normal weight, and weigh him every once in a while, and I can step on the scale and hold him, and I know how much he weighs.
That's a great way to do it. That's a great way to do it, for sure. Yeah, another thing is recognizing it. I mean, we get so close to them that we forget. And just like with our weight, a dog's weight fluctuates, and health, it's a dynamic thing. It's not static. It's like every day you're thinking about it. You're working at it every day. And that's where the consistency comes in, which in turn leads to a lifestyle change versus, crash dieting, intense exercise. That's never good in the long run for the body at all, dogs or humans. So let me ask you, just kind of in closing, to get back to nutrition, what options do we have as pet owners when it comes to food for our pets? Is there really a lot of stuff out there that we can get, or should we just cook for them, or should we mix it up? Or I guess it's according to each person's schedule and dog, etc. I don't know. What do you think?
Yes. It is. It's really up to the pet owner and how much time and effort they're going to take in feeding their dog properly. There are some pet foods that you can get out at the pet food store, and looking at the label and recognizing the good healthy ingredients is key. But if people have time to cook for their pets, that's wonderful. And it actually forces people to look at what they're eating themselves, the pet owners, and you can actually take this as an opportunity to get healthy and educate yourself about what you're eating and what you're feeding your pet, and making sure that you're getting all the vitamins and nutrients and proper ingredients. And eating fresh foods, that's huge. And so take that as an opportunity. And I know there's a huge consensus or varying consensus on what to feed a dog, whether it be, the raw food diet, the, raw meat, the barf diet, or if you're cooking for them, or if people never cook. And so there's a wide range. And I think some dogs do well on raw food. Some dogs don't. So, you just kind of have to, like Shauna's saying, play it by ear with your pet and be patient and pay attention. And I think once you see your dog's energy levels increase and smiles on their faces and achiness subsiding, I think you're on the right track, Shauna, anything else that we need to talk about that you can think of? I just want to thank you so much for having me on your show today. What a delight. And just say to the audience that pay attention to what you're feeding your pet and your pet's lifestyle, and create a healthy lifestyle together with your pet, so you can live longer and your pet can live longer, healthier, happier life. Exactly. In fact, the average life expectancy of humans and animals is way too low, I think. A human, supposedly, the organs can go to 120 is what we've kind of deemed. And dogs, maybe 20, 25. So, when we're hitting decrepitude at age 7 and 8 with our dogs, that's just not acceptable. That's just not acceptable. Not. And we can make a difference with food and exercise. So I so appreciate all of your information. And I'd love to have you back and we could talk about some specific case studies that you've had. I think that'd be really interesting for people to hear how people get to their goals and how dogs get to their goals. So thank you, Shauna. I really appreciate you being here, and thank you for all the work you're doing with animals. It's great. Thank you so much, Raquel. You're welcome, Shauna. And you've been listening to Win with Dogs with Raquel Wynn. I'm your host here on Pet Life Radio, where we only talk pets. If you have any questions about this show, or you want to get in touch with me or ask questions for Shauna, you can go ahead and email me at raquel@petliferadio.com, and we will answer you back in a timely fashion. Thank you, Mark, and the producers of the show for making me sound fabulous and intelligent. And we will see you next time. Please go win with dogs. Thank you.
Exercise, nutrition, interaction, and love make for one healthy, happy hound. Give yourself the gift of knowledge on demand every week right here at Pet Life Radio with me, Raquel Wynn, and Win with Dogs.